Hello and welcome to Live in Delight. I'm Elizabeth Losi, the Akashic Records channel, wisdom giver for the crystals. And today is the 10th of April, so like 10/4. Um, Today's special energy that we'll be capturing on this call is um, Mars conjunct Saturn in Pisces. And neither Mars nor Saturn especially appreciate being in Pisces because Pisces is really all about oneness and fluidity and the unconscious and flow and dissolving. And Saturn represents structure, so the opposite of dissolving. And Mars represents drive and moving forward. And it's really hard to get traction in the water. And together, they're creating something special. And um, I'm going to say a little bit about the crystals that came for today, which, as ever, were uncanny. And as we're talking about this, I invite you to really drop in and see how this is going to be showing up in your own experience. And so that there are a lot of different opinions about what Mars conjunct Saturn in any sign, in Pisces or no, can look like. Some people say, oh, it's driving with the brakes on, or it's the Energizer Bunny, depending on if you're talking about the high vibration or low vibration side, because Saturn is about realizing. Saturn is about manifestation. It's about building. It's about long-term goals, and it's also about structure and boundaries and time. Um, and Saturn sometimes says no, like, nope, that's not for you right now. And then Mars is the sexual being, the entrepreneur, the pioneer, the warrior, the divine masculine, the ruler of Aries, where all of this is happening right now. The eclipse that was just less than 2 days ago now, um, and uh, Mercury retrograde, and uh, the the eclipse was the sun and the moon exactly conjunct Chiron, exactly conjunct Chiron to the minute, not just the degree, but the actual minute, which is really unusual and is thus a harbinger of healing and change. It's, any total solar eclipse is going to be creating change and mm, revealing what has been hidden under the surface. But with this conjunction with the mentor healer, wounded healer, it really speaks of like maybe what are your wounds of exclusion? Have you felt pushed out of a place or a community that you wanted to be a part of? Or do you have other kinds of emotional wounds or even physical wounds? And how can you be the teacher that heals other people? How can you offer that healing? Because, of course, Chiron was a centaur and he gave to humanity through Asclepius, according to myth, um, the Chiron's wisdom of healing. And the other centaurs were so angry at him for giving those dastardly humans their gift that they kicked him out. So if you're a Harry Potter fan, it's kind of like Firenze was kicked out for supporting Harry Potter and Albus Dumbledore. So Chiron is kind of like that because he also got kicked out of his family, and so for being the mentor, the teacher, and the healer. So today we had 5 stones. 5, of course, is the number of change. It's the number of revolution. Um, it 5, your 5th chakra is also all about expression. That's your throat chakra. 5 is open to the past, but facing the future. And this eclipse is shifting things really powerfully, especially if you're living in North America, but everywhere in the world, shifting things really powerfully. And kicking off a new 1-year cycle and also 19 years. And so that is very exciting. Our 5 stones today were biggest to smallest. We had no doubles. Our 5 stones were chrysocolla. Chrysocolla is a high heart chakra stone. It's a combination of heart and throat energies. And chrysocolla, pardon me, chrysocolla invites us to make sacred sounds, specifically healing sounds. Sorry, I had to take a sip there. Specifically healing sounds, sounds that heal our own hearts and perhaps also the hearts of those around us. And it specifically says, you know what? A really cool way to do that is to howl like a wolf. And so it just involves tipping your head back and not being too loud about it, but just, oh, tipping your head back so that heart through your open mouth is like a pipe, an open gateway, so that healing message can come right out. It doesn't have to be scrunched into any kind of expression, a verbal expression like words that make sense. It's just oh. And the more you do that, every time you do it, it lifts off some of this calcification that arrives around your heart when you've stuffed things down. That your heart wanted to say something, speak your truth, and your mind was like, no, we can't say that. And so you choke it down and it remains like a frog in your throat, and your heart just kind of builds this rampart of energetic wall around itself. And when you allow yourself, give yourself the gift of howling like a wolf, then there's a layer of that comes off every time. So it's removing this stony layer of repressed emotion off of your heart. The next biggest stone, so I think that chrysocolla is really speaking to the Saturn of it all, with the building and the stone. Saturn rules bones and teeth and rocks and architecture, as well as time and long-term goals. The next stone is fiery carnelian, and carnelian is a stone of action, fire action, which has Mars written all over it. And because Mars is that red planet, it's the exact color of pictures of Mars in the sky. And it's very fiery, just like Aries is this fire sign ruled by Mars. And carnelian helps us to make choices, make decisions, and that gets us out of overwhelm. And it also gives us the courage to do what needs to be done, even though we don't necessarily want to be doing it. Our next biggest stone is bloodstone, which is another courage stone. I have 3 courage stones in my bowl. These are 2 of those 3 are appearing in this pull. And bloodstone, I also associate with Saturn, it is a heart and root chakra stone. I associate it with the winter solstice, which is ruled by Saturn because it kicks off winter time. And it's green and red, which also reinforces this winter solstice theme of Yule and the evergreen and the red berries and all of that. It's a stone of courage. It helps um, spiritual warriors do what needs to be done, keep on moving, even though we don't know what's coming, but just carry on doing our work in the world. And Mars in Pisces is the spiritual warrior. And next we have labradorite, which is the stone of magic. It's the stone of the Akashic Records. And it says, you know, there are layers, dimensions of reality that most humans don't even dream of. And there are so many more possibilities than you can imagine. Endless. And finally, we had bronzite. And bronzite is another stone of the divine masculine. There are a number of those stones in my bowl, but bronzite is a beautiful sort of protective stone. It's brown with gold flecks, and as the divine masculine, it also represents Mars in this pull, but it also is a stone of um, focused attention and even politeness. So it's taking the what might be, you know, a warrior-like attitude and um, refining it into a sort of a kind of a courtly love kind of knight. Um, Someone like Lancelot, for example, who um, can be valiant in battle, but also quite um, gracious in love. So here we have these 5 stones, these stones of change and revolution, and I think they are really appropriate. I'm going to take just a second to open the Akashic Records. So the records are open now, and I'm just inviting the record keepers to let us know what they want to say about today's energy, about these beautiful stones that twice over said Mars conjunct Saturn. We have 2 Saturn stones and 2 Mars stones, and then the magic to wrap it all up with sparkles and potency. And so the keepers are saying, you know, this is really a time, and um, this is Elizabeth poking in. Remember that when you listen, you are listening right now. The energy of today is held in this recording. So never feel like you've missed out on the magic potential of this Mars conjunct Saturn day. It is here right now. As you're listening, this is the time that the energy is still and forever available to you right here in this recording. So the keepers are saying that this is a beautiful energy, in fact, to just revel in seeming opposites and just the idea of duality, how both Mars and Saturn, their energies seem to be antithetical to the energy of Pisces. Pisces, which is the most spiritual sign. It's all about oneness and dissolving into the cosmic consciousness of everything. Very Akashic Records-y, in fact. And but Mars likes to get things done, and without traction, he's not terribly happy in Pisces. He does become the spiritual warrior, and then Saturn, who wants to build things long term, um, in the place where things dissolve, is less happy as well. And that's okay. Really, the message that's coming through today about Mars conjunct Saturn and Pisces, right after this ginormous, that's the scientific term, the ginormous eclipse from uh, 46 hours ago, is uh, the keepers love that they try to make a joke. Like, did it work? Did the joke work? I don't know, but I find it delightful that they are concerned about that, because they're not human, so they're not quite sure how humor works. But the this idea of Mars and Saturn in Pisces right after this very large eclipse, this eclipse which was happening not in Pisces but in Aries, and the eclipse was ruled by Mars, which is of course one half of the magic um, pairing that we see today. Um, that eclipse, that healing eclipse, was also an eclipse in the area of the sky where Mercury is retrograde. Um, the we have been sharing through Elizabeth for years now, maybe a whole decade, that every time there is an eclipse season and every time there is a Mercury retrograde, and by the way, this one is both at once, there is a massive influx of intuitive energy. And it's not just for a little bit. This is waking up your intuitive gifts little by little, or maybe a lot by a lot, depending on how ready you are for this. And it's cumulative. So this is a really big time for personal sovereignty to come to the fore rather than sort of conventional wisdom. This is a great time for knowingness, really, for humans to own their own wisdom and to sort of shake off the any kind of yoke of received wisdom that they've been hooked up in. So this speaks to things like religious doctrine that is actually quite untethered from divine energy. Religious doctrine, which is actually not sent from God or the goddess, but has been filtered through many layers of human desiring of control. And so the things that are called scripture, for example, much of scripture is very pure, but so much of it, and particularly the scripture that is taught, is seen through a human lensing for with the purpose of controlling people. Karl Marx called religion the opiate of the masses. Opiate because it was meant to control people, to numb them out to the oppression that they were living under. And so this eclipse that is still resonating out at the time of this recording, and so that energy is also captured in today, to this recording that you're listening to right now, This eclipse is really about um, helping humanity to have a greater sense of their own wisdom, not that they have been handed by their parents or religious leaders, for example, or governmental leaders or the media, but really it's an opportunity to understand things for themselves. And this is uh, a prime opportunity for freedom because, of course, religious doctrine is something that um, people are born into and therefore don't decide whether that makes sense to them, but it's what they've been taught since they were, even before they could speak or were evangelized into, and therefore they don't really connect with it through their hearts or even their logical minds, but just um, it's really the only channel that they can reasonably get access to on their, let's say, their antenna-based TV, and really uh, the record keepers are showing me that the humanity it's time for everyone to have access to satellite TV rather than like a scratchy single channel available on an antenna, right? But like many, many, many different pictures of potential realities rather than just the one, and that's the only one you can tune into because um, the other signals have been blocked by um, teachings that you didn't even have a chance to decide whether you liked or not, but were sort of wrapped up in from day one, most likely. And of course, most wars of religion, but also territorial wars, are fought based on these kinds of tribal energies. And this idea of war is coming up because Mars is the planetary representative of that warlike energy. And Saturn is saying, you know what, we could build a structure which can't be knocked down, but is that can kind of go with the flow in this sign of oneness. So this structure, a new kind of thinking about wars, and a new kind of structure that isn't rigid and that can allow for questioning and um, individual thought rather than parroting back um, what the current dogma is, especially uh, sort of the way your current religious leader has decided to present it. And so this energy is all about freedom and sovereignty and uh, newness, that 19-year cycle of the eclipse with the Chiron Kazemi, Chiron at the heart of the sun, a new era of healing, a new era of teaching others about really how to access the truth that is available to them at all times through their crown chakra and their third eye. Oh, howling like a wolf, making decisions based on uh, greater good, um, grounding your heart or grounding yourself to your own heart, tethering yourself to your own heart, um, there are two of these five stones are heart chakra stones, heart and throat, and heart and root chakra. And two others are lower chakra stones. There are three fire engine stones, fire energy stones. Fire engine is interesting because carnelian really is an engine. Labradorite is also extremely fiery. Um, and um, and one pure water stone, and that's chrysocolla. So the message here is that it's an invitation. It's an invitation to check in with your own heart. Put your hand on your own heart and decide what is delightful to you. What freedom can you find when you reach out with your heart and your divine mind to connect with the rest of the cosmic sphere, to understand what your personal truth is, and to start building it, but not in a rigid way, not in a way that will need to be knocked down eventually, but in a way that can organically move and uh, recreate itself in a way that fits this new world that is currently under construction. So let me just see if there's one final message about how to live in delight with these new emerging energies. Again, it has perhaps felt pretty intense in the last just couple weeks. In the northern hemisphere, there was the vernal equinox, followed less than a week later by the uh, Libra penumbral lunar eclipse, south node. And a south node eclipse is about karmic, releasing karmic energies. And oftentimes a south node, especially a lunar eclipse, because a lunar eclipse is an especially powerful full moon, and the full moon is the peak intensity of the month. And so a lunar eclipse is ultra intense, like amplified 10x um, uh, intensity. And if it's a blood moon or a total lunar eclipse, like amplified by 100 times or even 1,000 times the intensity. But a south node lunar eclipse is a big deal. And so that was less than a week after the vernal equinox. And then less than a week later, first of all, there were the religious festivals of Easter, and then April 1st was Mercury stationing retrograde, and then um, uh, 1 week after that was this massive eclipse. Today's conjunction with Mars and Saturn, which, depending on how you want to look at it, we invite you to look at it as offering lots and lots of energy for creating long-term goals and manifesting those dreams. Pisces is the sign of dreams and the unconscious and oneness. So it could be manifesting your most beautiful dreams of whatever they are: peace, oneness, understanding, um, a new way of looking at war. Maybe there's a new way to wage war that is nonviolent and more Piscean, like quite watery. water, of course, it is life-giving. It's the source of life, really, that primordial uh, waters. And for mammals, the amniotic fluid. Also, water over time, and again, time is Saturn. And Saturn also, of course, rules rocks. Water over time carves away rock. And so if you're thinking about rock, paper, scissors, in a time of no time, water is more powerful than rock or paper or scissors because it would rust the scissors, disintegrate the water, and carve away the rock. So this Piscean wateriness is really potent and full of possibility. And so we invite you to think about all the ways in which the delightful ways, right? All the ways in which you might harness the energy, partner with the energy of this moment as you're listening. And you can listen as many times as you like and share this recording with as many people as you like. Partner with the energy of this powerful yet subtle and really supportive energy of water, that Piscean oneness. It has your back. You can float on water with no effort at all. Allow the water to carry you where you need to be carried without resistance. Because we can guarantee you that you are being guided whether you know it or not. You are being guided. And everything is set up for the highest good of all. You can say no if you want. Many do. Elizabeth did for a long time. She still sometimes stamps her foot and says, no, I don't want that. And then, and then she might go into a new like 5-year cycle of penury or difficulty or like literal pain. And she's laughing a little bit because, yeah, she recognizes that. But these days, she's just living in delight and invites you to experience that as well. It is up to you to choose it. That's the only thing you need to do is to make the decision. And today's energy says, yeah, make your long-term plans right now. What would delight you? What do you want to build? What future is the future you want for yourself and your friends and your family and your community? What is that future? Now is the time. It's up to you. And you are the ones you've been waiting for. No one else is coming to the rescue. Mars is here. You know, Mars is that like knight in shining armor. And Mars is here saying, yeah, let's build it. Let's just build it now. But uh, don't wait for something that doesn't look like what you think it probably is supposed to look like, because this is what it looks like. This right now, this is it. This is what it looks like. Put your hand on your heart, take a deep breath, ground yourself to your heart. As long as you are in deep and abiding connection with your own heart, you won't be steered the wrong way. You can ask for help. Your guides, your ancestors, the crystals, the planets, people like Elizabeth and others who are teachers and mentors and coaches and guides, way showers, are all here to help. You can pick the one that works for you. But the energy of Mars says, just do it. And Saturn says, yeah, let's build it right now, starting now. It'll take a while. It won't, you know, be built by next Tuesday, but that's okay. If you don't start now, there's no way it will ever get built. That there now is an eternal. Every time you say now and then now, it's a new now. So start now, wherever now is. Even if it's not in April of 2024, now is the only time there is. So start now with so much love. This is Elizabeth, and my heart is really full. Um, Honestly, I didn't know what kind of message to expect for today, but this was a really beautiful one. And let's call our spirits back and close these records and then stay on while I talk a little bit about how to ground yourself after listening. So let's call our spirits back by saying, wherever you are, I call my spirit back. And the keepers are like, yes, now, 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 now. Now is the time. Now, 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 now. Ah, so much love in the now. Now is when Elizabeth says the word now, it sounds like it's done immediately, but now opens up this vast horizon. Now is like also forever. So don't misjudge or underestimate the power of now. All right, let's close the records now by saying love for life and all it holds. We step back into the world with love and joy. Amen. These records are closed, and I thank you so much for joining me today, whenever now is for you, in this energy, a beautiful, expansive manifestation, creative energy of Mars conjunct Saturn. I'm Elizabeth Losi. If you would like me to channel your records, it would be my honor to do so. You can find a time to explore what that might look like on my website, elizabethlosi.com. And I hope you will. I hope you'll subscribe and share this with your friends. Drink plenty of water after listening, and ground yourself to the earth. If you can, walk barefoot on the grass or lie on the ground or a rock or the sand if you live by the beach. Hug a tree, or do some kind of visualization of roots coming out of your tailbone and the soles of your feet and digging, 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 digging deep into the earth. Thank you so much. I'm Elizabeth Losi. Thank you for living in delight. Until next time. Bye for now.